if we weren't both fighters, absolutely. I could see myself being friends with him in a different life. But when you both know that you are, there is even the smallest possibility that at some point we may fight, a friendship could never be formed. And even though, you know, when I met him in that gym 10, 12 years ago, I don't know how many years ago it was, you know, I was obviously cool with him. You know, we shook hands, we talked, we spoke, we would have spoken, but I can't be friends.
Sure. Here's a clean, fully rewritten version, sûr, of your text. No headings. Just a smooth, original flow throughout with more refined language, varied sentence structure, and natural pacing. The tone maintains the hype and tension while, feeling unique and professional, Chris Eubank Jr. has finally revealed a detail from his past that reshapes the entire narrative of his rivalry with Conor Benn. Long before the animosity, back when they first encountered each other in the gym, Eubank admits he sensed a potential bond forming. But instead of leaning into it, he shut the door. Why? Because even then, he understood the path they were on would lead them to opposite corners of a boxing ring. To him, emotional attachment was a risk he couldn't afford. It's a striking image. Two young...
He had too much to do and too much to prove. But he's done it. He's an undefeated fighter now. He has, you know, he has a fan base, a big fan base in boxing. So now the fight makes sense. Now the fight is being demanded by the public.
Fighters, each born into boxing royalty, standing face to face. One saw possible friendship, the other saw future business. Eubank chose silence over solidarity. No shared laughs, no casual respect, not even a handshake. He knew the day would come when it would all be on the line, and he wasn't going to let a moment of sentimentality get in the way of strategy. That cold decision, made in the shadows years ago, now fuels one of the most deeply rooted rivalries in boxing today. And now, with the fight finally set, Eubank has made it clear why this clash had to wait. In his eyes, Conor Benn wasn't ready before. There were too many questions surrounding his place in the sport, too much left unproven. But that's no longer the case. Benn has stayed undefeated, built an enormous following, and answered critics with power and persistence.
I think Chris is leaps and bounds ahead of Conor. You know, his experience, the guys he's been in with, you know, take away the weight because, you know, Chris is obviously going to be disadvantaged in there with the weight as well. But just ability, you know, boxing skill set is on a completely different level.
The momentum is undeniable, and the time is right. This isn't just another bout. It's a long-awaited explosion of legacy, pride, and personal history. There are no more doubts, only the fight itself. And now, we wait to see whether Benn's rise has truly forged a champion, or if Eubank will be the one to expose the flaws beneath the surface. Others are weighing in with equal intensity. Harlem Eubank, Chris's cousin, is convinced there's a massive gap between the two men, not in size or strength, but in experience and skill. While the weight difference has taken center stage in public debate, Harlem believes the true separation lies in ring IQ, adaptability, and mental poise. Chris has faced elite-level opponents, gone to war, and come back sharper. Benn, for all his explosiveness and hunger...
But I think with Chris, this is purely business. This is purely business. I don't think he quite likes him very much.
No.
But I'm telling you now, it's a good thing that Conor's in Spain. Because imagine them two bumping into each other on London High Street on a Sunday afternoon.
We don't need that, do we?
No one needs that, no one wants it, but it's inevitable. So you literally have to navigate your way through these camps and keep these two boys away from each other, because
keep the lid on.
I've been there with this kind of animosity, and I've been there with this kind of domestic rivalry. It eats away at you. It's not nice.
No.
It literally eats away at you. It's on your mind daily, and you just it gets to it's an
hasn't yet been pushed to the same depths. Harlem admits the weight cut could be tough for Chris, but he remains certain that Benn won't be able to match the seasoned edge his cousin brings to the ring. Tony Bellew, never one to pull punches with his words, says this fight is as personal as it gets. The animosity between Eubank Jr. and Benn isn't manufactured. It's real, raw, and rooted in years of unresolved tension. Bellew warns that their hostility goes far beyond the sport. He paints a picture of two men who wouldn't be able to cross paths peacefully even outside the ring. That kind of emotional baggage, he says, can either ignite greatness or implode under pressure. The mental strain, built up over time, is something only the ring can resolve. And it may not do so quietly. Johnny Fisher, meanwhile, is all in on Benn. After spending time around him, Fisher believes in Benn's determination, discipline, and legacy. But he also doesn't shy away from acknowledging the uphill battle. Benn is just...
But yeah, there's no honour in smacking someone with an egg. Shouldn't have happened.
How do you think the fight's going to play out?
I'm backing Conor Benn. I know Conor. Spoke to him a few times. Always been a top bloke to me. His dad's a top bloke. His dad's a legend. And I'll be backing him. But it's going to be difficult, as he's already alluded to, the two weight divisions coming up. But it'll also be difficult for Eubank to stay within that hydration clause, I think it is. So it's all to play for both men.
Two weight classes, a massive leap in any context. And then there's the hydration clause, a quiet but powerful variable in this equation. Fisher sees it as a potential landmine for Eubank, one that could strip him of his physical edge and endurance. He's confident in Benn's fire and resilience, but fully aware this fight will be a grueling, high-stakes war from start to finish. Eddie Hearn, always brutally honest, points to the obvious but daunting truth. Benn is stepping into a mismatch, physically speaking. If this fight were happening at Benn's natural weight, Hearn says, the odds might tilt his way. But now, it's a serious gamble. The sheer size and power Eubank brings to the table could spell trouble from the opening bell. Hearn believes Benn has the tools, but if he can't manage the extra weight or overcome the strength gap, one big punch could change everything. Benn's style is both his weapon and his risk.
Conor Benn in this fight is the weight and is the size. I think he's a better fighter. And I think at a natural weight class, he's a big favourite in the fight. But coming up two weight classes, it makes it a 50-50 fight. And you ain't going to blink in it.
Brings pressure from the first bell, relentless in pursuit and driven by emotion and aggression. He's never been one to ease into a fight. That all-guns-blazing style has served him well, but it also leaves little room for error, especially against someone as battle-tested and powerful as Eubank. The key will be whether Benn can harness that fury and use it smartly, or if it burns too hot and opens him up to devastating counters. Carl Frampton has sounded a major alarm of his own. He worries that Eubank Jr. is heading into dangerous territory, with the weight cut and rehydration clause in place. It's not just about making the number on the scale. It's about what's left afterward. Frampton, a former world champion himself, knows what it feels like to enter the ring depleted. He suggests that if Eubank doesn't look right at the weigh-in, the fight could be a one-sided disaster. All eyes will be on how Eubank's body responds, not just in preparation, but in those crucial hours before the opening bell. Robert McCracken has joined the...
And Conor Benn is an animal with a hot head. And as soon as that bell goes, you've only got to watch Nigel Benn's fights and Conor Benn's fights in his career so far to realise he's going to set about him from the first bell.
No, not yet. I need to see what he looks like on the scales. If there was no rehydration clause, I would pick Eubank, but I need to see what he looks like on the scales first, and then with the rehydration clause, and he already looks bad.